Hello guys, it's Frostley here, back again with another video. We aren't going to be starting the video in the usual way, talking about Jerome. I'm still seething about what happened last time, and I don't use that word lightly. I'm telling you, boxing match could be on the horizon. Hopefully it won't get to that. But for this episode, we are just going to move straight in to the first card, which is headlined by Weidman versus Rakic. Before we do that, if you could like and subscribe, if you want to cheer me up a bit, calm me down, help me out, considering the situation with Jerome, that would be brilliant. So we are here for a card that has a lot of exciting fights lined up. Weidman, of course, the headliner, like I said, and he is coming off a loss against Dominic Reyes, quite a devastating knockout loss. We have found out just how good Dominic Reyes is since that fight, so maybe that loss wasn't as bad as it looked like at the time, and he's getting another chance at light heavyweight against someone who is another prospect, Rakic, coming through, but Rakic has lost his last fight against Ozdemir via split decision. Was a close fight. Before that, he did, of course, knock out Jimmy Manuwa. So that one's going to be interesting. Now, on top of that, we've got one of the biggest prospects in the UFC at the moment, Shabazian. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's quite a hard one to pronounce. He's only 22 years of age. He just coming off that knockout win against Brad Tavares. Really impressive kick. And his first round finishes in his last 3 fights. He is looking like a really exciting prospect. And he's fighting against a veteran in Uriah Hall, who has really exciting fighting style, and is coming off 2 wins as well, so he's doing quite well. And then also on the card we've got Diego Ferreira against Greg Gillespie, 2 prospects kind of coming through in the top 15. Cobb Swanson also on the card, and then Mackenzie Dern as well. So quite a few big names on the card. We're going to get straight into it. So first one is Alex da Silva against Alex Reyes. Alex da Silva, 21-2, really impressive record actually overall. He's only 24 years of age. He says he's won 1 UFC fight and lost 1. Doesn't show his ranking on this database for some reason, but that's fine. He's got an impressive record there. And then Alex Reyes has lost his first fight in the UFC against Mike Perry, so a reasonably big name. And apparently he hasn't fought for about 3 years. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages in this one. And Reyes gets the win. So Alex Silva's impressive record clearly didn't matter that much because he has lost via split decision. Next up, we've got Chris De La Rocha against Ben Sassoli. Ben Sassoli, interesting looking guy from Melbourne, 30 years of age, and he has lost his last fight. He also fought against Greg Hardy. Okay, yeah, I'm vaguely recognising from that. So that was given a no contest. I think that might have been a knee from Greg Hardy, if I remember correctly, an illegal knee. And then against Chris De La Rocha, who's 41 years of age, 1 win, 3 losses in the UFC. He has lost his last fight as well. So probably just fighting for his chance in the UFC, really. I wonder what his background is. Just a background. Interesting, he got into UFC with quite a low pro record, but that's fine. See, and he's rated as poor. Chris De La Rocha does get the win at 41 years of age. Interesting to see if he does decide to retire. He's not retiring, fair enough. He's still going at 41. Okay, so next up we've got Miranda Granger against Polano Potiello, something like that. She's 3 wins, 1 loss. And Granger is 1 win, 1 loss in the UFC so far. So both of these decent. Let's see how it goes. Granger's got the win via unanimous decision. Fight rated is great. So that's one of the best fights of the card so far. Next we've got Julio Arce. Julio Arce. Probably not how he wants it pronounced, I assume. And then Giga Chikadze. Something like that. There's quite a few challenging names on this card. Not deliberate. But we've got 2 split decision wins for Giga. That is a great name, Giga. Maybe future son, I'm going to call him Giga, just after that bloke. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, and Julio Arce has came off a loss. That is definitely a terrible pronunciation of his name, so I apologise. But he's coming off a loss. And he does get the win. I'm going to call him Julio rather than slaughter his surname again. And it was rated as good, the fight. Next up, we got Chase Hooper against Gwen Wang. Was Chase Hooper the guy that was the Ben Askren lookalike guy that talks about him looking like Ben Askren? It might have been him. I'm not sure. He's only 21 years of age. He has a win on his UFC record. Unbeaten so far. 1 draw in his career. And he's against another fighter who has a really impressive record actually, with just 1 loss on his career, and he's also coming off a win. So it's actually quite an interesting fight. See how it goes. And Gwen Wang does get the win against Chase Hooper. Fight rated is good. He's one to watch with that record. Let's see how it goes. Of course, we don't know what level he was fighting at before, but it's still not to be kind of disrespected. Next, we got De Silva against Pantoja. That's not it even. It's Pantoja. Pantoja is 6 wins, 2 losses in the UFC so far, so pretty decent. And then De Silva, fairly kind of been around for a long time, fairly well known in the UFC. Has lost his last couple of fights against Moreno and who was it? I'm not Joseph. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. My pronunciations are absolutely terrible at the moment. Next, it was a fantastic fight, and De Silva gets the win. Brilliant. And that's what I want to see. I think this was the headline of the prelims. So getting the main card kicked off in a really good way. Not kicked off, moving on to the main card in a really kind of positive way. So next we got Roxanne against Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, of course, famous for her jiu-jitsu, big name, and Roxanne is just coming off a big win herself, I believe, against Macy Barber. So both of these, her record isn't as bad as that in real life. I'm not sure. Some of them have clearly missed out some of the records that have actually, some of the fights that have happened there. But she is a decent fighter. See how it gets on. And Mackenzie Dern gets the win, which is good news for me, really, because I think she's the younger prospect. Fight rate is great. Armbar, as you'd expect from a jiu-jitsu expert, in the first round. Brilliant. So definitely one to watch there. Next up, we got Andre Fili against Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, absolute veteran, been around for a long time. Last fight he did lose against Arnold Allen. It was a split decision, close fight, and he is struggling a bit at the moment, losing quite a lot of his fights. And he's against Fili, who, another pretty experienced name, but has just beat Shane Burgos. So let's see how this one goes. And Fili gets the win. So Cub Swanson, another loss on his name. But big win for Fili, one of his biggest of his career. Next up, we've got Diego Ferreira against Gregor Gillespie. So Gregor Gillespie, really impressive fighter. Up to that Kevin Lee fight, he did get knocked out in quite devastating fashion with that knockout kick. But he did beat in quite dominant fashion Dariush in his last fight. So he's come back quite impressively. And he's against Diego Ferreira, who's on a really decent winning streak, and just beat Islam Makhachev, who is a very decent fighter. So both of these definitely ones to watch. 2 kind of prospects battling it out. See how it goes. And Gillespie gets the win. Huge win, probably biggest win of his career. In fact, it's definitely his biggest win of his career. Propelling himself right into that top 10, I'd imagine. It's not far off already, so he's already in the top 10. But solidifying that status and really pushing up to near the top of the rankings, really. So that's a brilliant result for him. Next up, we have got Edmund Shabazian against Uriah Hall. Shabazian, as I said last time, incredible prospect, really. 11-0 so far, 22 years of age, against Uriah Hall, who is an absolute veteran. I'm hoping Shabazian gets a win, and we can see him really pushing up the rankings. Let's see how it goes. And he does get the win. Brilliant. It was a unanimous decision win, so not as decisive as maybe you'd like, but he did win, and the fight was rated as good. And he's going to be getting a real big name next fight, I think. Probably one win off a title shot, to be honest. I want to push him up the card. I think he deserves it. After I think about who he's going to have next, but it will be someone who's kind of in the top 5, I think. Next up, Chris Weidman against, I always pronounce it Chris Weidman, but it's not, is it? Chris Weidman against Alexsandar Rakic. As I've said, Rakic, prospect coming through against Weidman, who, of course, beat Anderson Silva, really big name, but kind of struggled more recently. He want to get his first win in light heavyweight since he moved up. Let's see how it goes. So we got a touch of gloves. Rakic lands a left jab, but is wide of the mark on a head kick attempt. Weidman doesn't connect with a left jab, but lands a nice right hook. Weidman comes to looking for the takedown. Rakic got away, but not quite, and now he's hopping while Weidman's got hold of his leg. Weidman can't get Rakic down, so settles for pushing him against the cage. Unable to get free, Rakic is smothered against the cage. They remain in that position, dirty boxing each other for a further minute. Weidman has worked underhooks. I know he's looking to take Rakic down, and he manages to take him down. That's big takedown early on, and Weidman keeps Rakic guessing with a few strikes. Weidman's kind of catching his breath now. Rakic tries to sweep Weidman but can't do it. Weidman throws a few right hands to the body. Rakic tries a sweep from the bottom half of the guard but doesn't budge Weidman. Weidman fires away with punches, but Rakic doesn't take any undue damage. Weidman feels Rakic prepare to scramble for position and make sure it doesn't happen. With no progress being made, referee Herb Dean stands them back up. Weidman uses great movement, to set up a takedown attempt and manages to, gets the takedown, and Rakic has to pull guard and he's pounding away, and that is the end of the round. Weidman, 2 takedowns, comfortably getting that round. Rakic misses a right hook and leaves himself open to be countered with a great right hook. The two fighters engage. Rakic is off target with 2 jabs, but then lands a left high kick to the body. Left high kick to the body, makes no sense. Left kick to the body. Weidman hits a left jab, but can't hit a right cross. Rakic moves in closer, looking to open up an attack. 1-2 from Rakic fails to land. They come together and strike. The two fighters strike, but without any success. Weidman is off target with a jab and also misses with a right hand. Rakic can't catch Weidman, whose great head movement allows him to slip away from the 2-punch combination. The two fighters are coming forward. Rakic dodges a right hand and counterattacks with a jab and a big right hand that misses. The fighters go toe-to-toe with strikes, but the flurry ends without any damaging shots. Weidman stalks forward, pressuring Rakic. Weidman steps into the pocket, showing little fear of Rakic. Weidman's continuing to throw some punches, but doesn't quite land them. The two combatants meet in the centre. Rakic has a left jab, but then misses a high kick. Weidman lands a left jab, but then a right hand is taken on the gloves. Rakic is starting to look tired. Now he's still stepping in and unleashing, apparently. Rakic connects with a jab, but Weidman avoids the low kick that is set up. They come together and continue to strike. Rakic hits a left jab, but is well off target with a head kick. Rakic lands a 1-2. Rakic moves in closer, ready to attack. Rakic fails to land any of the strikes in a combo that ended with an attempted head kick. We're now into the last minutes of the round. Weidman is stepping forward, looking to strike, and he's doing it very confidently. And Weidman fails to land home with a jab, but then he scores with a right cross that landed hard, and they continue to exchange strikes. Rakic appears to be willing to risk getting in if he can do some grappling, apparently. Rakic, is that what it said? Rakic appears to be willing to risk getting hit if it means he can get close enough to initiate some grappling. That makes no sense still. But anyway, don't know why you'd want to wrestle with Weidman, but apparently he does. Weidman throws a punch, but Rakic avoids it. Rakic gets hold of Weidman. Clinch with Weidman. Rakic looks to try and take him down, and Weidman blocks the takedown attempt and takes control of the grapple, and that is round 2 over. Apparently a boring round, not ideal, but Weidman is in control. The two combatants meet in the centre, and we're seeing some strikes again. Weidman counters a hesitant body shot. The two fighters continue to come together, but they're a bit tentative. Rakic is looking shattered already. Weidman is trying to push Rakic, so he's back up against the cage. Weidman achieves it, pinning Rakic to the cage. Weidman smothers Rakic against the cage and then hits a knee strike to the ribs. Rakic takes a knee strike to the inside of his own knee. Rakic takes a knee strike just above the hip. So continuing those knee strikes. Weidman tries a foot stomp now. And Weidman is still moving well, but he's definitely moving a little deeper. I think Rakic managed to get out of the grappling there. He's definitely slowing. And now they're striking. Weidman tries to go for a right hook but misses. Rakic tries a left kick but misses. Weidman continues to go forward. Tries to counter 11. Then a big jab lands from Weidman, but Rakic avoids the right hand. Rakic stumbles his way into the clinch. He looks shattered. Weidman is looking to muscle Rakic up against the cage. Weidman manages it and controls Rakic up against the cage. And I was trying to wrestle him, but Rakic is preventing the wrestling working. Rakic scores with a few punches to the ribs. Weidman attempts to hit a knee with Rakic tight into the clinch. Rakic is looking really tired apparently. Weidman hits a knee strike to the thigh. Weidman tries to knee Rakic, but he wrestles free and circles into the centre. We're now into the final month. That I'm just not speaking right today. It's definitely not the final month. The final minute of the round. A few deep breaths betray that Weidman is now starting to struggle with his gas tank. Rakic hits a pair of jabs in the exchange. Weidman can't connect with a jab, but then he hits a nice straight right that lands hard. Rakic closes the distance, obviously looking to strike. Weidman looked like he was going to shoot, but Rakic simply took the initiative first. Rakic lands a jab and then hits Weidman with a straight right. Both fighters step in to strike and engage. Weidman looks for a left hook to the body, then he's Rakic is off target with a jab, but then scores with a right hook, and that is the end of the round. Weidman, again, apparently up on the scorecards by 3 rounds. We're into round 4. Rakic can't set up a left jab, but then catches Weidman with a right hook. Rakic confidently moving in closer. Weidman's looking very tentative. Rakic doesn't trouble his opponent with his combination, ending in low kicks to the legs. Both fighters continue to strike. Rakic connects with a left hand. Weidman hits a good right hand. Looked like we're about to see a shot from Weidman, but then Rakic goes more aggressive and took the initiative. Rakic throws in 2 quick punches, but doesn't hit either. Rakic moves in closer, ready to attack. And looked like we're about to see a shot from Weidman, but doesn't happen. Rakic can't connect with set-up strikes, but then hits Weidman with a beautiful right uppercut. And Weidman is knocked down by that shot, but he's looking very tired. And he's moving in, kneeling beside Weidman, hammering down punches. But Rakic tries to pound on Weidman, but the blows are comfortably dealt with, potentially due to him gassing out a bit. And Rakic fires off a few punches as he catches his breath. And Weidman looks like he's got away with one in a fight that he was winning. And Rakic throws a few right hands, but is mainly trying to catch his breath. Weidman moves so that Rakic is now in full guard, not half guard. Perhaps way of submissions, Rakic keeps extremely tight to Weidman and peppers him with short punches. Weidman gets double underhooks in and pulls Rakic close, controlling him well. For the moment, Rakic is content to just throw a couple of punches to the body. Weidman reaches up and tries to lock up an arm. Rakic stops it. Rakic pounds away with right hands, and that is the end of the round. Rakic gets that one. I think that knockdown getting him it, but he's still down on the scorecards. The 2 combatants meet in the centre and strike. Weidman scores with a jab and has his right hand absorbed by the gloves. Rakic doesn't connect with a left jab and then lands a leg kick. Weidman looks like he hasn't got much left in the tank, so they're both very tired. Weidman's looking to muscle Rakic against the cage. He can't do it though. Weidman is trying to push again against the cage, and he manages it this time. Rakic is against the cage. Weidman tries to knee from the clinch, but Rakic is able to block it. Rakic is trapped up against the cage and takes a sharp stomp to the foot. Weidman scores with a glancing elbow strike from the clinch. He hits a knee strike to the thigh. Weidman smothers Rakic against the cage, and then he hits him with a knee strike to the ribs. Weidman uses a vicious foot stomp. Weidman catches Rakic with a knee strike to the thigh, and then he hits another knee strike to the thigh again. Weidman scores with a glancing elbow strike from the clinch, and there's been a cut to Rakic's eye. Weidman tries to hit Rakic with a knee in the thigh, but Rakic works enough space so he can slip away and get to the centre. Rakic initiates exchange of strikes. Weidman hits a counter left hand. Rakic throws 2 quick punches but doesn't hit either of them. Rakic looks like he's completely out of gas, so both of them are completely gassed out. Rakic misses a big right hand, putting him off balance and allowing Weidman to attack with a right hand. Weidman glances at the clock. There's 60 seconds to go. A quick exchange of strikes does not produce any damage. The fighters, both of whom look very tired, fall into a ragged clinch. Weidman is trying to push Rakic so that he's back up against the cage. Weidman manages it and controls Rakic up against the cage. Weidman drives a knee to the thigh area. Weidman goes for a foot stomp, but Rakic works enough space so he can slip out and away to the back to the centre, and that is the time limit. Apparently Weidman got that round as well. We'll see neither of these guys used to going 5 rounds in their recent fights, and it shows that they're getting really tired. Clearly both need to work on this. So let's see how it goes with this decision. It's 49-46 from all the judges, and Chris Weidman does get the win. So he's managed to get his career back on track a little bit with his first win in the light heavyweight division. And we'll hopefully see him continue that trend and doing well in the future. Rakic, bit of a dent in his record, 2 losses in a row. He can still come back from it. But yeah, disappointing fight really, because he gassed out and Weidman seemed like he was there for the taking really. Okay, so we're now going to get into the next card, which is headlined by Nunes versus Spencer. It is a card in Brazil, so we're going to get straight into that, and I'll see you there. It is time for UFC 254, which is a card stacked with UFC legends. We've got Amanda Nunes as the headliner, alongside Jose Aldo, Verdum, Shogun, lots of really big names, and all Brazilian as well, so in front of their home country. Should be a really great card, and we're going to get straight into it now. So we got the first fight on the card is Matt Sales against Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns is he's the brother of Gilbert Burns. I never knew that. I thought he might be when I saw the name. That's interesting. So the brother of Gilbert Burns, who's doing really well at the UFC at the moment actually, recently beat Damian Maia, and he is 1-0 so far against Nate Landwehr, who is in real life had a a good fight on the last UFC card, actually. He's quite a character, but he did lose this one. And he's fighting against Matt Sales, who is 2 wins, 2 losses in the UFC so far. See how this one goes. Matt Sales gets the win. Fight rate is fantastic. 3rd round TKO. Brilliant result for Matt Sales, and a really good way to start the card. Next up, we've got Omar Morales against Thiago Moses. Morales, so far, unbeaten in his career. From Venezuela, 2 wins, 0 losses in the UFC so far. And he's against Moses, who is 1 win, 2 losses in the UFC. See how this one goes? And Moses gets the win, which stops Omar Morales' unbeaten streak. Fight rated is great. Brazil fans happy with that one. Next up, we've got Brendan Lezer against Bruno Silva. Lezer is from South Africa, and he's recently been signed from EFC. And 4 wins, 0 losses, so not particularly experienced, but he is 33 years of age. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter against Bruno Silva, who is 0 wins and 1 loss in the UFC so far. I'm not sure, this was November 2018, I'm not sure, maybe he had a fight a while ago. It's not telling me properly, but let's see how this one goes. Silva gets the win in the 1st round, so 35 seconds in the fight. Big knockout win for Bruno Silva. I mean, good for him. Not a good start for Brendan in his UFC career though. Next up, we got Angela Hill against Verana Jadiroba. Angela Hill is a very experienced fighter in the UFC, been around for a long time, and is on a decent winning streak of 3 wins in a row. And she's fighting against a fighter who is 1 win, 1 loss in the UFC so far, so much less experienced, but he has got a good record overall. So let's see how this one goes. And she does get the win as well in the 1st round. Verna gets the win in the 1st round with a leg lock, and the fight was rated as great as well. Another Brazilian fighter getting the win. Next up, we have Sean Brady against Alberto Mina. Sean Brady is 13 wins, 0 losses in his UFC career so far, and 3 wins, 0 losses in UFC so far, 13 wins, 0 losses in his career, and some decent names beaten there. So he's had a really good start to his career, and he's against a fighter who's also had a good start to his UFC career with 3 wins and 1 loss, although he did lose his last fight. See how this one goes. Sean Brady gets another win, so that's extending his unbeaten streak, and the fight was rated as decent. Submission in the 2nd round. Okay, so next up is Barcelos against Jackson. Barcelos is 15-1, 4 fights unbeaten so far in the UFC. Really impressive. We've got a lot of really decent fighters on this card in this prelims. 2 wins, 0 losses so far in the UFC, although it's not according to this, so he's actually 3 wins and 1 loss, but either way, still pretty decent record. And Jackson gets the win, so he's extending that decent record. It's good for him. Now we're up to headlining the prelims. We got Kron Gracie against Enrique Barzola. Gracie, of course, from the famous Jiu-Jitsu family, Gracie family, and he had a decent. He won his 1st fight in the UFC, but then did lose against Cub Swanson in reasonably comfortable fashion for Swanson. And he is fighting against a guy who's 6 wins, 3 losses in the UFC and 1 draw. So decent fighter, nothing too special. Hopefully Gracie gets a win and can kind of start regaining that momentum he had before he lost. And he does get the win via armbar, as you'd expect. Jiu-Jitsu, uses Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, the fight was rated as great. So we're now getting into the main card, and we have got Shogun, who, massive name, doesn't really need much of an introduction, but more recently drew against Paul Craig, and then before that beat Tyson Pedro, and then that knockout loss against Anthony Smith. So he's not done shocking recently, but that draw against Paul Craig is showing that he's not what he was in terms of a fighter, and he's fighting against Misha Serkinov, who came on the scene, was really good at this point. I remember being really hyped up, and then he had that devastating knockout loss really quickly against Ozdemir, and then since then never quite been the same, had quite a few kind of first round losses. So let's see how this one goes. Serkinov gets the win via split decision, so that's another close fight for Shogun, and it's rated as decent, so not what the Brazilian fans wanted to see, and quite a big upset win for Serkinov. Next up, we got Claudia Gadelha against Carla Esparza. Gadelha is challenged for the belt against Joanna famously, and lost this one. She had a really close fight here against Joanna, and then since then she's been decent. Had a pretty good record, but a couple of losses there. But definitely, if she builds some momentum up, she could be challenging again for the belt. She's against Esparza, who is 6 wins and 4 losses in the UFC. The last two fights she won as well. She's also challenged Joanna for the belt as well. So let's see how this one goes. And Esparza gets the win in what is quite a big upset, and another loss for a Brazilian fighter. Fight was rated as good. Not bad, but definitely a shame for the Brazilian crowd. Next up, Fabricio Werdum making his comeback after about 2-3 years layoff due to drug, performance arts and drug problems. I say problems, he got taken them. And then against Shamil, not going to try and pronounce that surname. And Shamil is decent so far. He's 4 wins, 3 losses, but he's fought against some pretty high-level opponents. Did lose against Curtis Blades last fight, but has beat Tybora and Walt Harris in the past. So not a bad fighter at all. And then Werdum, of course, really big name. Beat for most of the best heavyweights in the world, really. And more recently, he did lose against Volkov in London. So let's see how this one goes. And Werdum gets the win on his comeback from about a 2-3 year layoff. The fight was rated as great. That's a bit better for the Brazilian fans. Submission in the first round. And he's decided to retire. He's 43. Fair enough. Got that win before he went out. Okay. Fair. I don't blame him, really. Next up, we have Corey Sandhagen against... Is it Sandhagen? Sandhagen, not Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, who is a big prospect in the UFC, against Jose Aldo. Aldo, another one on this card that doesn't need much introduction, but I will say, Batman, of course, had that really long winning streak with the featherweight belt, and then lost it to Conor McGregor eventually. Since then, never quite been at the same heights, but still a very competitive fighter. That fight against Marlon Moraes was a close fight. I do think he just lost it, in my opinion, but I know some people thought otherwise. But it was he's still a very decent fighter, and he's fighting against Corey Sandhagen, who is if on a five winning streak in the UFC so far, only 27 years of age. This is a huge opportunity for him. If he beats Jose Aldo, then he's definitely going to be right up there in contention for a title shot. Let's see how this one goes. And he does get the win, which is brilliant for me, really, because I think you always want the kind of younger fighters to get the wins over the older kind of ones that may be fading a bit. Fight was rated as good. Unanimous decision win, and that will move us on to the main fight of the evening, which is Felicia Spencer against Amanda Nunes. Felicia Spencer, maybe not the biggest contender Nunes had to face in her career in terms of reputation, but she did have a really competitive fight against Cyborg, one of the closest to beating her out of any of the fights other than Nunes, who actually beat her, of course. And she won her last fight in the first round, and then also beat Megan Anderson in relatively easy fashion. And Megan Anderson's not an easy person to beat. And Amanda Nunes, of course, one of the best fighters of all time, and definitely the best women's fighter of all time, in my opinion. She's been held the belt for ages, bantamweight belt. So let's see how this one goes, and the featherweight belt. She has both, of course. So let's see how this one goes. This one is for the featherweight belt, just to clarify. She will be trying to defend both of them, so I'll go back and forth. She'll have a bantamweight fight next time, hopefully. So Nunes getting a big cheer by the Brazilian fans, unsurprisingly. And Nunes used the left jab, a big right head kick is wide of the mark. Spencer may have been setting up a shoot, but Nunes aggressively took the initiative. Nunes connects with a nice jab and then catches Spencer with a right hook to the body. Nunes lands a jab and then hits a crunching straight right to the jaw. Spencer goes down hard. It's a knockout already. That's 45 seconds into the fight. Huge win for Amanda Nunes. She's defended her featherweight belt in extremely impressive fashion, and that is just another huge win in her repertoire, as she's undoubtedly the best women fighter of all time, and this just solidified that even more. It's going to be tough to find her a real challenge, to be honest with you, in the division. Now Cyborg's gone. There's not anyone that's massively competitive to beat her, but we're just going to keep going through the people that challenge her, and we'll see how it goes. Huge win for her, and yeah, brilliant to see, really. So that is it for today's episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We do have another really interesting fight card for the next episode. It is headlined by Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas. It's a rematch, and hopefully one of them will really stamp their authority and then end up getting another chance at the title, the strawweight belt. But we'll see how that one goes. If you do want to tune in to that, then please hit the subscribe button and also like this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. I'll see you for the next one. Have a good one.